Hello, I am Dr. Michael Rothball, and this is my presentation on Introduction to Scrum. This is an online demo lesson. You can find a PDF version of this presentation by scanning the QR code in the bottom left of this corner. Now imagine starting a journey to a destination you've never been to. With the map constantly changing and new roadblocks appearing unexpectedly, how do you ensure that you still reach your goal efficiently and effectively? In the world of product development and complex projects, we often face this exact challenge. Today, we're going to look at a framework called Scrum that helps teams navigate this unpredictable terrain. I have included some ACMCS curricular guidelines for your review, as well as ABIT learning outcomes that are covered by this presentation. What will I be covering in this presentation today? Well, I will be providing an introduction to Scrum. I will be covering core concepts of Scrum. I will be covering the 3 pillars of Scrum, the 5 values of Scrum, the team that is involved in making Scrum a successful methodology, the components of a sprint that is involved in the Scrum process, key benefits from the utilization of the Scrum methodology, and some key takeaways from our talk today. Scrum gets its name from the sport of rugby, where the team comes together in a scrum to work together to move the ball forward. There is an opposing team to move through and potential adverse weather conditions. Like this scene, software development teams can face a number of obstacles to delivery of a software system that can deliver value to all the relevant stakeholders. Also, note that effective rugby teams and effective software teams require cohesive teamwork, continuous effort, and an ability to adapt to changing conditions and the strategies of their competitors. So Scrum is a lightweight, powerful framework that helps teams to work together to deliver creative digital solutions to problems. Scrum was developed in the mid-90s by Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sutherland to better solve complex problems enterprises were facing. Traditional waterfall processes were getting in the way, leading to canceled or delayed projects that exceeded allocated budgets, simply a losing prospect. Scrum helps teams deliver creative and viable solutions, as I mentioned earlier, and the value can be delivered incrementally with this methodology. Scrum offers adaptability based on observation, experimentation, and feedback. It is encouraged in this methodology. Being rigid is not something that is valued. Being able to try different things, being able to reflect, being able to give feedback on that allows us to determine what works, what doesn't work, so that we can be successful, even more successful in future sprints. So what are some of the core concepts of Scrum? Scrum is a framework, not an instruction manual. It is not a recipe to how to go from the very beginning to the very end and have a successful delivered software product. There are a lot of other areas that have to be included in the development of a successful software product. A solid software design processes, a testing framework, solid requirements engineering at the very beginning, probably the most important part of it. Scrum is about kind of bringing all those different components together into sort of a cohesive whole. It is an iterative process. You go through it in 1 to 4 week increments where you are going to be delivering a usable system at the end of each increment. It requires stakeholders, such as developers, to learn from their experiences and to adapt. There are other stakeholder groups that are involved, not just developers. There are clients, there are end users, there are managers, there are project managers, there are potentially skip level managers. There are other support personnel that are all key in delivering a successful software system that meets the client's user requirements. It requires that everyone in the Scrum process trust one another. A lack of trust leads to tension and bottlenecks, potentially impacting culture long term if it persists. However, when it is present, the team can be successful because everyone believes that the other parties, the other stakeholders, will come through with their assigned work tasks being completed. The three pillars of Scrum include transparency, inspection, and adaptation. Transparency is all about having a visible and understood process and work products. There are no ways to hide what you're doing. There's no way to hide what your end product is. It is visible to everyone for feedback, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Another pillar of Scrum is that of inspection, regularly checking progress towards goals. There should be no surprises if everyone is using Scrum in the way that is intended. Scrum also encourages adaptation, adjusting the process or the product based on inspection, which leads to a period of reflection by each stakeholder and as a team. What are the 5 key values of Scrum? They include courage, doing the right thing and having a willingness to work on tough problems when there might be inertia against doing so. Having focus, keeping your eyes on the current sprint and working through the user requirements and stories that need to be completed. Scrum involves commitment, willing to work towards the goals of the team, and not just your own key performance indicators that might be a part of your work plan for the year. Scrum involves respect, seeing every stakeholder as a professional capable of completing their work without oversight or micromanaging from others. Scrum values openness, being forthright about what is going well, where you're having issues, and how others can help you out. Scrum involves a few key individuals in the team. There's the Scrum Master, there's the product owner, and there are developers. The Scrum Master facilitates the Scrum process, removes impediments, and coaches the team. The Scrum Master focuses on how the team works together to move the process forward in order to deliver a product. The product owner maximizes the value of the product, manages the product backlog. The product owner focuses on what needs to be built. The developers, who are probably the most numerous of the team, are cross-functional individuals who build the increment. We want the increment to be a done increment. We want to focus on building the product when you are a developer. What are the components of a sprint? Well, we start with a product backlog. That is a prioritized list of everything that might be needed in a product. From that, a subset of user requirements, user stories, tasks, however you structure your backlog, right? Plus some sort of plan for delivering on those items that are going to be a part of the sprint backlog. The project manager develops the schedule, matching those sprint backlog items up to individual developers to work on, and then the sprint commences. The stakeholders will participate in 5 events. These are time box opportunities for inspection and adaptation. From this process, there will be 3 artifacts. These include, among other things, the actual software deliverable and supporting documentation and other supporting infrastructure needed for the software deliverable to function to provide feedback to the team. What we'd like to do is to get eventually to the done state for the increment. Along the way, stakeholders will hold daily meetings during the sprint to indicate what they have completed, what they will be working on, what has gone well, what has not gone well, questions that they might have that might most likely have to be addressed offline, as a daily stand-up meeting should be a short affair, 10 to 15 minutes. Everyone is standing. It takes energy out of you to stand for a lot longer period than that. So if everyone is sitting down, meetings have a tendency to drag on. Stakeholders, after the increment is done and it's been delivered, what is done? Done has a different meaning to different teams, but it probably means that all the critical testing has been completed for that particular sprint. That there are no known major sort of show-stopping defects in the project. Doesn't mean it's defect-free necessarily, but nothing that would hinder the software from operating in any sort of minimally viable product sort of way. Code reviews have been completed and passed. Approvals have probably been secured, that sort of thing. At some point, there will be reviews that inspect the outcome of an increment and adapt the product backlog for a future sprint. These are typically reviews are time boxed to a maximum of 4 hours for a 1 month sprint, less for a shorter sprint period. There eventually will be a retrospective, which is essentially a post-mortem of the actual sprint. There will be a plan developed for improvements to be made during the next sprint, right? And again, we kind of go back to that sort of reflection of what went well, what could be improved, what we will commit to in the next sprint. What are the key benefits of using the Scrum process? Well, there tends to be the team finds that there's increased flexibility and adaptability to change. The team finds that their ability to collaborate and self-organize improves. The team finds that they're able to provide a faster delivery of value to customers. And this is important because it allows customers to provide more timely and critical feedback to the team. This provides enhanced transparency and visibility of progress towards project completion. So what are my key takeaways? Scrum is a lightweight yet powerful framework that helps teams tackle complex problems by delivering value in short, iterative cycles called sprints. It's built on the pillars of transparency, inspection, and adaptation, brought to life through defined roles like the product owner, Scrum Master, and the development team, specific events for planning and review, and essential artifacts like the product and sprint backlogs. And of course, the increment. By embracing Scrum, teams can enhance collaboration, respond effectively to change, and deliver in a consistent way value, incremental components to the product. Thank you.